The serious problem that plagues my soul right now is the looting system and that I can't hide useless nameplates. I'm not going to argue with you there. Full Metal Alchemist. W name, by the way. W series. My goodness. Full Metal Alchemist. Great show. Kungan was playing Pantheon again. I know. I watched a good bit of it. Matter of fact, I clipped a little moment that I really loved.
Time. Are you boys ready? Are you ready for some Pantheon? My currently new favorite MMO. I mean, of course, WoW, but you know, there is time to play more things. My character is cool as fuck. I played a little bit without you guys last night though. I couldn't stop. I ate some food, I sat down at the PC, and I was like drooling and just playing.
This is really cool. This is really cool. That's a vibe right there. I think we can all relate to that. Drooling and playing. So locked in. Let's see. I want to give it a go, but can't seem to spend the $40 just yet. Yeah, well, you know, there's plenty of people playing the game, streaming the game, so you definitely, you know, kind of soak it up and see if it seems like kind of your thing and kind of play it by ear. Well, we have a cosmetics shop. I would love to buy pets and mounts on full release. I don't know. We got on the discussion of like revenue a few streams ago, and you know, as Pantheon kind of awareness about the game spreads, more people play, you know, hearing about it, thinking about it, talking about it, reading about it, whatever. We're a small team. We've got, you know, we're doing something really ambitious. We want to make it awesome. And so, you know, part of the calculus for us is like, okay, what does, you know, the early access phase look like? And then what do we do at launch, post-launch, things like that. And a big part of the equation is that we are a classically spirited game. Like the goal here is to, you know, in some ways kind of be the forerunner of what does it look like to make a classic like MMO in the current era of gaming. And so we just have to be really careful. We got to be really careful with that. So do I think there's room for things like cosmetics in the game? I do. But I tend to think more in the realm of like housing and ships and things like that, and ways of, you know, potentially having like, I'm not as excited. In fact, I'm very not excited about things like armor skins, weapon skins, like that whole side of things. I don't like that at all. I think in the typical way that it's done, I think it could be cool to do, you know, potentially things related to like in-game achievements and accomplishments. But even that, you know, I feel like it's just a very slippery slope, and one that I'm not really a fan of. So I think, you know, I think the main things that we have to look at, and guys, keep in mind, I want to be clear, like this is not 100% my decision. Like I'm not, you know, the one with unilateral authority here to make that call for us as a company. I just like to rattle cages really hard when I'm passionate about something and have a lot of conviction. So this is a cage rattling issue for me. Obviously, we want to have enough revenue to grow as a team and to make the game good, but we need to do that right. We need to do it well. So, you know, the other thing about if we do anything related to cosmetics in any way, it needs to be very much in line and in tune with the world and the setting itself, because that's another part of how these microtransactions and cash shops and stuff, they go so off rails because it just becomes a circus. And if you're not careful with it, your game, you log in and it's just a mess. Like it's just silly. And we want to have a better tone than that. Like when you play Pantheon, we want the tone to be that we take the game more seriously. You know what I mean? Can warriors incorporate their shield more for damage and readiness generation? Not only can they, but that's how I want them to be. Like the idea with the warrior originally was to create like a truly sword and board tank, like a truly sword and board tank, and really embrace that. I think we can, we can definitely get into like some of the more like heavy, like larger weapon fantasy as well, because I know there's a lot of people that want to play their warrior that way. So it doesn't disclude that, but yeah, I want the whole vision behind the warrior was essentially having a prowess with the shield that is above every other class. Like they are very attuned with their shield, both on the defensive side, but also on the offensive side. So yes, I would say you can expect there to be some additional class development around the shield for the warrior, offensively as well as defensively. But then also, getting some of that two-handed action in there as well. Yep, there are definitely more undead mobs coming, more undead mobs planned. Ooh, raid content. So, oof. All right, hold on. I want to answer. There's like 3 questions that I see here that I want to answer, so hold on a sec. Just want to do kind of a final look here at night and see how all this is turning out. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. We even got the start of our cave area coming in here too. So this is coming along nicely, guys. For the upcoming Wednesday patch, is going to be a really nice rollout of content for this level 16 to 20 range. Going to be huge. Super helpful. Yeah, so the idea with raids is we're going to have a mixture of open world contested raids, like World Boss. I will say the majority of our raids are planned to be the encounter itself to be instanced. Now, there's some qualifiers here, okay? Pantheon's an open world, non-instance game. All of our dungeons are open, no instancing. All of our raid zones will be open, non-instance. What we're talking about is the specific boss rooms and encounter rooms will be instanced. And I say most of them because the idea is that we will have some that are open and contested, because we do want there to be some opportunity for, that kind of vying and contesting to be going on in the game. And just, everybody not able to get every single thing. That's fine. That's good. But the mainline raid content that we develop and roll into the game, we want that to be, we want people to be able to plan for it. We want people to be able to schedule it. We want people that, this goes all back to our whole paradigm in that, trying to carve a path for a classically spirited MMORPG in the current modern day where, a lot of people that are interested in this game, they don't have the time they used to. The ability to schedule a raid encounter and have that 2, 3, 4 hour window where you'll be able to go and do this. And then, there'll be a lockout timer and you won't be able to just rinse and repeat it, of course. But that's really important to us. And I think it's important to the majority of the player base to be able to, know that they can have that to look forward to. And it's actually a pretty big, like, misconception that we want to clear up too. Because we are so classically inspired, it's kind of assumed that, yeah, we're just going to have this potentially toxic poop sock culture, high-end game. And while we want to kind of give a little bit of that, like a little opportunity for that with the open world contested stuff, the mainline content we want to be able to have people schedule around. But the what I said before that was important though, in that the raid zones themselves are contested, the dungeons are open world contested, and in some cases, to actually be able to trigger the raid or enter the raid instance, you will need to accomplish things or acquire things in the part of the zone that is open world contested. It could be, trying to get a rare drop off an NPC. So, you have to actually find that camp and get that item and then, be able to essentially kind of unlock the ability to activate that raid, things like that. So there is going to be a little bit of that going on. It's not going to be just run from point A to point B and then walk into the instance and you're good to go. In some cases, you'll have to unlock it or activate it. That's a relatively concise answer. relatively concise anyway. What, if anything, do you think needs to happen to get more people into HC? On our server, it rarely has more than one group outside of prime time. Good question. Something we've discussed on stream a few times before. It's hard to say whether right now HC stands for Halnir Cave. It's the name of the one of the dungeons in the game. And I would say probably the largest like dedicated subterranean dungeon, and in some cases, or some would say maybe the most challenging one. I don't know. It's tough to know whether that is a result of lack of knowledge, people not knowing that Halnir Cave exists, not knowing where it is. How much of it is the difficulty? We've had that discussion on stream a few times before as well, that it's a difficult dungeon. It has a pretty high barrier to entry in terms of just the mechanics, and kind of once you get it, like once you figure it out, I think it's more of a facade. It's more of kind of like it seems really difficult, but once you get it, it's not as bad as it seems. I would say this. I think the biggest issue we have, maybe that's not the right way to phrase it, but one of the big issues that we have is you go into somewhere like Halnir Cave and you push down deep, and then if somebody has to leave or you wipe, the idea of getting someone down to you or getting back out, from where you are. And right now /stuck is in play to get you out, but if you need to replace somebody, that can be a pretty big challenge. We've talked about having, some kind of a waypoint system in the dungeon that allows groups to, summon somebody to that location. And that's something I'd like to experiment with, but it's just not something we can implement right now. How to get more people into Halnir Cave? I think the other issue. So do people know about it? Maybe it's not as full because people are still learning that it exists where it is. The perception of the challenge of it. Halnir Cave has right now the highest experience modifier. If you're familiar with that idea, that there are certain places in the game where the experience bonus is higher than others. Halnir Cave has a really high experience bonus. It's got really good loot. But there's a perception that it's extremely challenging and very kind of like stay away. It's too difficult. That might be part of it. The other ingredient, I think, is how linear Halnir Cave is to a large degree. So you zone in and there's a group right at the beginning. You can leapfrog that group, but until you get a pretty good ways in, there's not a whole lot of places to branch off and kind of do your own thing. I'd like for us eventually to have a little bit more of a kind of multi-path approach in there. But yeah, I mean, aside from those things, I'm open to feedback on what else. It also, I mean, it sounds like it's pretty server specific too. Call the hero. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. We've got the same mug with the straw. Nice. There you go. Are the Iron Root orcs itemized yet? Killed the name and it had nothing. The Iron Root orcs are itemized. The named... This is Karnak. Karnak or Thragos. Thragos. They are not itemized yet. I have overlooked them. But no longer. Notebook time. That's, for those of you that don't know, I use like a yellow notepad to kind of keep track of points that people bring up and things to kind of check on, look at. Do my best impression. I don't know what my best impression is. I don't know. And they kind of just flow. It's harder for me to do it on command. You know what I mean? Do we plan on bards having CC capabilities similar to enchanters? Every group needs a chanter right now. Yeah, bards and their necros will have some additional CC as well, just kind of in some different forms. It doesn't all have to be through like the straight up mesmerize mechanic. So expect necros to be kitted out with a few more of those options as well. I mean, I can roll my R's, I just can't roll them well. I have to like, I don't know, it's like, you know what I mean? That's probably as clear as I can make it, you know? Yeah, like bone cage, hands coming up out of the, you know, corpse-ish hands coming up, grabbing the ankles. You know, fear. There's two different kinds of fear. There's the fear that makes them run away, and then there's the fear that makes them like cower. Charm, you know, for necros when it comes to undead. Once charm's in, being able to charm undead will be another, you know, extension of their CC. So, any ETA on robe graphics? I remember seeing Julia ask that question earlier, and I forgot to respond to it. Let me see something real quick. Hold, please. It's so crazy to go from the 24/7 Q&A to today where Reddit is so positive. Yeah, Reddit has been really positive. It's been cool to see. Loving the game, absolutely. Just wishing grouping experience was more viable for 20 plus. Hard to find groups, yeah. Yeah, so in the last patch, the change went in to flatten experience rates a little bit. The bonus that you were getting for killing something a level above you, let's say it was like a 40% experience bonus for killing something that was yellow con. And then on the other side, a level below you, it was like, I think like a 20% reduction. Or maybe it was the other way around. Maybe it was 20% for the yellow and 40% reduction for the blue. I can't remember. But it ended up being like this like 60 to 80% difference just with those few levels. And so what we did in the last patch, what Steve did was he just tweaked that to where the fall off is much more normalized. So I mean, it still is definitely less experience for something lower level and more for something higher, but the difference isn't that much anymore or as extreme. So that's helped a lot. The next step is going to be right now our solo experience slowly, very incrementally scales up with level. So if I'm soloing something and I'm level 20 and I'm soloing a level 20 NPC, the amount of experience I'm getting from that NPC has a slight scaling to it compared to killing something level 10 when I'm level 10. And we need to do the same thing with group NPCs. So by the time you're level 20 and you're killing a group NPC, it should be giving you the same amount of bonus. So that's the next step we're going to take. It's pretty it's a pretty minor change, but before we do any major like group experience buffs, I just want to kind of unify those two things a little bit. So it should feel better. May not feel exactly where it needs to be by the next patch, but it should feel noticeably better. Okay, the high level players farming low level dungeon chests. Tell me what you guys think about this. You know how like in the OG Legend of Zelda, like this the true OG Legend of Zelda, regular NES, you would every once in a while you would get keys. You would get those silver keys. And then as you accumulated those silver keys, you could just carry them around with you, and then you could use those to open locked doors. What if we did something like humanoid NPCs had a chance to drop no drop keys, silver keys. Just call them silver key. And they had a high stack count, but they were rare and they were no drop. So you couldn't, farm a bunch of them and give them away, but you were able to just for yourself accumulate those keys. And then you could spend those keys opening the chest. And that way, a high level coming down, you're not going to be able to just like run in and run out, but you actually have to have keys. And then the other thing that we're going to do is we need to tier the chests, meaning the kind of chest that would spawn in the Goblin Caves or in Helnir Cave is going to be very different than the kind of chest that would spawn in Black Rose Keep or the Gate or things I'm not going to mention yet for spoiler reasons, but higher level dungeon, higher level places. And that way you need to decide, do I really want to come and spend my keys in Goblin Caves, or do I want to save my keys for higher level chests? And that way the hope would be, since they wouldn't want to waste keys on lower level tier chests, it would be more for players already in that level range who can't use them for higher level stuff yet to use them in there. Well, then what if we tiered the keys? So if you've got like rusty keys, brass keys, silver keys, platinum keys, something like that, and that way the keys were associated with a specific tier of chest, so you would only find that tier of key in kind of that certain range of NPCs. I think that might fix it, yeah? People are running through Goblin Caves mainly for the map fragment quest, and while they're in there, they are grabbing chests. Yep. Well, but here's something to keep in mind too. So we've got, here, I'll just show you. We've got several different chests. Let me come over here. And they're meant to be like different. Well, be better to just show you. Okay, so here's an actual, nope, no it's not, hold on. Nope, hold on. Nope. Oh yeah, no, I'm right. They're just under the, there we go. So we have an actual treasure chest, right? Is there no collision on this? It's weird. Mulgar with the 5 gifted subs. Thank you, Mulgar. Thank you, my friend. And Off Trackery with the Prime sub. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. No? Might be these probably don't have any collision, yeah. All right, no worries. Let me just kind of get these out here, and then we can talk about them. So you got your supply crate, which is meant to be kind of your most like basic kind of container. The supply crate and the ration crate. That's not supposed to be that big. So you've got your supply crate and your ration crate. These are the two like lowest level, most basic. I wouldn't even want to like lock these. These are just, you find them, you open them up. Loot supply crate's got, some lower tier crafting materials, maybe just some stuff, vendor fodder, whatever. Ration crates have, a chance to have some really good food items in it, but also, a lot of basic stuff. Then you've got an actual treasure chest. And this is where I would start seeing like keys. Where if you want to open a treasure chest, you're going to need, one of these keys to be able to do it. And then we tier it up and tier the keys But we have other ones as well. We've got a lockbox. These are all interactable. You know, you right click them, they open up, and they have a loot table associated with them. We've got man, why are these so big? We've got an alchemical cache. We've got an arcane trove. We've got an armor crate. I don't know why the scale on some of these is so weird. We've got a weapon crate. Yeah, I think that's kind of the whole set there. So the idea is that while there are these supply crates, things like this, and guys, this is the kind of stuff that makes, you know, part of the way that we want to try to make things like climbing and swimming and exploration in the game meaningful is because these are the types of things we want you to be able to find as you explore, or to make things like exploring more interesting, more compelling to do. And that you learn over time as players that, like, you know, what to be excited about when you find. So if you find an alchemical cache, if you find an arcane trove, a weapon or an armor crate, something like that, you know, be really excited. But then also have a lot of these things be, you know, like the perception system can be a big part of uncovering where these things are. Quests, you know, can cause these things to spawn. But the problem we're having is that, picking locks, that would be a good part of it. Some of these are magical locks, though. So like the arcane trove, the alchemical cache, these two on the right here would not be able to be pick locked. So we need to figure out a good way to make these more like for them to actually like be in the game for the purpose that we want them to be in the game, where they're exciting things to find, but not have it be on just like a high level player loop where they're just running through and grabbing them all up. So these two being, I mean, I think it's probably the best way to do it. Like, these two are free. You find them, you open them. End of story. Treasure chests have tiers, and the tier of the chest, like, it'll tell you when you target it, it'll say like, you know, a basic treasure chest all the way up to like a gilded treasure chest or something like that, glorious treasure chest or something like that. And they have certain keys associated with them, that the keys, the name of the chest correspond to the name of the keys. And we do that with the rest of these. If you loot a rusty armor chest key, then, you know, if you see a rusty armor chest, then you can open it with that key. It'll consume the key when you open it, but there you go. If you loot a glorious, you know, lockbox key or a gilded lockbox key or something like that, then same thing. Like, you know, if I find a gilded lockbox, then boom, I can open it. Make the keys unique. Explain. Oh yeah, Julie, that's actually a great idea. I hadn't even thought about that. You just bind them all to your account. There you go. Problem solved. Yeah, a keychain would be nice. A key ring would be good. When you say make them unique, though, like I think what you guys are getting at is the idea that you wouldn't be able to stack these. Like, they would be kind of like, if you loot one, that's all you have. Like, you just have one. You can only ever use one. Think about that, though. Like, think about being out and one dropping and you can't loot it. Oh, you guys aren't talking about an actual unique flag. You're just saying like a unique key type for each chest. You could also have chests guarded by ancient ghosts. If the player trying to open chests in an area of a certain level is much higher than the zone level, the ghost could become aggro and require a group to be defeated. So the higher level players would have to really want those to put up with that. That's true. That's a cool idea. That's a cool idea. Yeah, it would be cool. Like, even if we did do a unique flag, but we had support for like, yeah, like a capped amount for a unique item. So it's not just like only one, but you could have like up to 5. You know, if this is unique, but you can have up to 5 of them. Then that'd be really cool. Is it possible to make the NPCs level based on the person opening the crate? So if you have a mimic and a level 10 opens the crate, it's level 10. If a level 40 comes to go get the low level crates, it spawns a level 40 mimic, just to make it more gettable by those who are of that level and less farmable. Yeah, I mean, just about anything's possible, depending on how we program it to work. I mean, we could even do a mechanic where the keys are unique, and you can only have one of these certain keys at a time, but they have uses. Like, instead of like using it once and they go away, there's like a lockpick, they have a chance of breaking each time you use it. So maybe there's a maximum use, like a maximum of 5 uses, but it could break early. It could be interesting too. The other cool thing about making them unique, one of the other advantages of doing that is I think they could be tradable, which is always a good thing. You know, it's an economy booster. It's something where you're actually able to kind of like, you know, sell them, things like that. So, you know, as many things as we can have in the game that are tradable, the better. Okay. That's good. So, Centignola, I don't disagree with you entirely, but the problem is, if rogues, so it's one thing for rogues to train lock picking so that they can open locked doors, they can, you know, allow access to certain areas, they can potentially unlock something like a chest or something like that. But the problem with this particular situation is that the goal here is to, well, let me explain a little bit of the kind of the vision behind just what this whole thing represents in the first place. My brother shared a story with me a long time ago about EverQuest, where his buddy that he used to play EQ with was running through Kithakor Forest, and I don't remember the context, but there was a high level undead, the kind of undead that later spawned. It was after they did the update to Kithakor, and there was like really high level undead that would spawn in there at night. He was running through Kithakor, saw the corpse of one of these undead NPCs, went over to try to loot it, because, you know, in EQ, similar to how it will work in Pantheon eventually, which, by the way, Steve, if you're listening, we need to talk about this too in terms of corpse timer. We need to increase the corpse timer, but we also need to introduce a point in that timer where it becomes publicly lootable. But that's how it worked in EQ, right? Is a corpse would become publicly lootable. He was running through, he tried to loot the corpse, was able to loot it, and for whatever reason, the corpse had been left unlooted, hadn't been looted. And he found this incredible staff that dropped off this thing that he ended up using. He was like a level 20 druid or something like that. He looted a staff that he ended up using all the way into the level 50s. And it was this incredible moment for him that also stuck with me. It was like a really impactful part of the game experience, where it's like, You're traveling around the world. You stumble across something that ends up having the chance to be kind of like really significant. And that's the whole idea with these chests. It's an exploration mechanic, but it's also the opportunity to like really be able to find something cool and significant. However, small that chance may be. If we give one specific class a dramatic edge over being able to kind of find and farm these, then I think that's probably the wrong way to do it. Now, I think rogues, it's not lost on me that this is something that really goes hand in hand with a rogue class identity, but we just need to like think of a way to manage it. Even if it comes down to like the kind of pick locks that they need, or maybe, we could even go as far eventually to introduce like a somewhat of a reduced chance on the loot rolls if it's a pick locked opening or something like that, just to kind of like balance that out. I don't know. I'm not saying that's a good idea either, but it's good feedback. Are there any plans to be able to change your professions instead of being locked in? Yes. The token turn-in is a stopgap for right now. Eventually, the way the system will ultimately be, you'll be able to change your profession for sure. A Euro, yes. Any plans to release a PvP server anytime sooner at all? We will most likely be releasing that our first PvP servers next month. What about Warrior 2 Undertaking? I don't think so. Like, impossible? Probably not. If you stack enough parry, maybe. But it won't ever be as good as Sword and Board for the Warrior. How is Warrior 2 Anti-Tanking already more viable than shield tanking? What do you mean? For tanking. Losing the ability to shield bash, or to shield slam and shield block damage and threat generation. Okay. So it's not, you're saying it's not as much of an issue with like mitigating and actually soaking damage. You're meaning more it's not viable because you can't generate enough readiness or threat. Okay, I got you. Makes sense. I'll make a note of that. I think the answer there is going to be introducing more offensive abilities with the shield. Got it. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, the only solution is a dual shield wielding warrior. Do I know when we could see the Ashen Elves? Visibility, I'm pretty certain, I would say with a pretty high level of confidence, that we probably will not see the Ashen Elves at least until the other planned races are in. So getting in the Scar, the Gnomes, and the Archai will come before that. What's going on with trap parts for Ranger? What do you mean? Hit me. Okay, we're going to transition over to Thronefast. Why are they harder to find and so rare? Gotcha. Yeah, I've heard a lot of feedback on Ranger traps, and let's go ahead and make that change right now. Actually, when will monks get skills past 20? We're working on it. Some of the things that we want to do next for monks require a little bit more. Well, they require some direct programming work to support it. So the main updates that we want to do for monks, and then the upgrades that would come along with that, is still, we're still waiting. Also, on the question of the robe, we are going to have full robes as well. I don't know what the ETA on that is though yet. It shouldn't be too long. One of my favorite pizza toppings, it would probably be pepperoni and green olives. I do not like pineapple on pizza. I do not. Yeah, if you like green olives, like if you like, just like if you can eat a green olive and enjoy it, then on a pepperoni pizza, it's really good. Okay, let's hop on over here to Thronefast. Lothire, yes. Well, let me hold on. Let me slow down. Yeah. I just deleted the whole world. Whoops. It happens. It happens. No, the plan right now with the PvP servers coming out next month is that they will be first type, the first rule set. Down the road, and in particular, they're going to be very brutal, very Wild West, very hands-off by design, because we don't want to spend any development time building out like a bespoke PvP experience. But it just so happens that works really well because there's a ton of people that are itching for like a real sandbox, uncurated Wild West PvP server. And that's exactly what they're going to get first. Down the line, later, when it makes sense to potentially put some resources and some time into PvP rule sets, things like that, we will absolutely have some different rule sets that are much more like accessible, less hardcore, less intense. And yeah, I mean, eventually I would really, really like to, regardless of what, like if you go back to when we did our like extraction thing with 247, there were a lot of people that played it that really enjoyed it for what it was, the kind of people that enjoy PvP. And I think the more I've thought about it, whenever the time comes down the road, I would love for that to be one of our unique PvP, kind of one of the new things we bring to the genre. I'll say that. There's no other example of a PvP extraction survival type experience within an MMO context. And I think it'd be really cool if we did that as kind of our brand of battleground, if you will. So yeah, just so you guys know, like when we did the 247 testing stuff a year and some change ago, we did that's when we got PvP working for Pantheon. So we've already done that work of getting PvP working. It's literally just flipping that switch for those servers. And then the point is to say like, hey, we're hands off. What happens. Here's the level range you can fight other players. Here's the loot rules, which is again part of the server wide loot rules. And that's it, because we're not going to be spending any time or resources on it. No, PvE will not be affected by PvP. No, absolutely 100% no. That is part of the charm of classic PvP, is that it's unbalanced, and it's going to be that way. Fair warning. Oh yeah, there's going to be complaints, but to those complaints, I'm going to turn to them and say, listen, you've been hearing me say it for years. No. We've kind of joked that instead of like outright banning people, if we ever have to ban people, we just banish them to that server. And that's the only server they can play on. All right. So, 2 days ago, we started working on a perception storyline. And I want to pick that up a little bit today. We were kind of doing some chat involvement. It was an opportunity for me to show more of you how this works. And for those of you that are new to Pantheon or just kind of getting a feel for it, the perception system is a major aspect of this game that's not very represented in the game yet. And it's important that more and more people know about it. and start getting kind of their minds wrapped around it, because I think it's going to, for many people, be another one of those like, wow, this might really be the game for me kind of things. Because right now you would play Pantheon and you would think, you know, there's not really that many quests. There's not really that much lore, you know, going on in the game or anything like that. And the reality is, like, Pantheon is an incredibly lore-rich, deep game and world. And this perception system is the vehicle that we want players to engage with it on. And we're in ads. I'm telling you, they know when to play them. They know when to play ads. Somebody is sitting there watching. It is. I was going to fix Ranger traps. Darn it. So let's do that first. Goodness. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is... Yeah, let's do this. Now, let me also say this. Yes, Manimac, yes. We are working on the game in real time. 100%. I know that a lot of the issue that Rangers have right now with their traps and with things like this is that it's reagent bound, and that reagent isn't as plentiful as they'd like. It's too rare. I agree. So we're going to bump it up a little bit. But don't compare yourself with rogues, because rogues also are going to be transitioned over to a reagent system for their stuff as well. So just know that that's coming. Know that that's coming. Playing my games, thank you for the Prime sub. Appreciate that. Chahalis, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Thank you so much for the support, my friends. I appreciate that big time. But yeah, don't worry about that. That the rogues will be transitioning over to a reagent system with some of their things as well. It just so happens that we had the Ranger set up on it first. So that being said, I think what I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to double the drop chance of trap parts. I'm going to make it to where it will at least always be 2 to 3 trap parts that will be foraged when you successfully forage them. And I'm going to reduce the cooldown on forage a tiny bit. Actually, I'm going to reduce the cooldown and the cast time a little bit. So I'm going to... okay. Here's the summation of the changes. Double the drop chance of trap parts. Increase the drop amount of trap parts from 1 to a range of 2 to 3 when you successfully forage them. Reduce the cooldown on forage from 30 seconds to 20. And reduce the cast time from 3 seconds to 2 seconds. Well, actually, hold on. Let's, whoa, hold on. Let me ask you guys. Because I don't want to make it annoying. I don't want to make how often you're foraging annoying. So reducing the cooldown may not be the best move. It might be better to increase the yield when you do get them. Okay, I think I've got an idea. I'll show you what I mean. See if this resonates with you all. So we've got kind of two things going on here. We've got a worldwide foraging loot table, and then we've got a zone specific foraging loot table. Burgomeister, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub, for the 8 months of support, my friend. Thank you. That's awesome. That's so cool. Hoodie Actual, thank you so much for the Prime sub as well. Thank you, guys. So yeah, so here's the thought. Instead of having the one table, we've got I can spell. I can. We've got natural. We've got catalysts, and we've got trap parts. So what this will do, we can put catalysts in here like flint powder. And I can put trap parts on its own table. And this way, every time you forage, you have a chance of rolling from all three of these. Zerk Banky, yeah, that's a different Chris Perkins, if you can believe it. There are two Chris Perkins that are game designers. Like in the same realm, like in the same kind of universe, which is wild. So, with this in mind, what we can do is I can bump these up. Go ahead and do a 1 to 2. I can bump this up. Yeah. And I can bump this up. What do we want to do here? Let's try that. Yeah, it's true. Got 3 Chris's on the VR team right now. The trap part, weight, yes. Let's look at that too. Cool. Weight has been successfully nerfed as well. Cool. I think this is a good change. I think it's a good change. Okay. Yeah, this will all go into Wednesday's patch, yeah. Warriors pound, smash, and pulverize all be reinstated, or are they supposed to replace one another? They're supposed to replace one another. They're supposed to be, yeah, upgrades that replace those abilities. Okay. Nice. Nice. Joppa, how are you? I'm back from the Cheeto Plains with another question. Any plans to address how Rangers benefit way more from going two-hand to impact their abilities versus getting a small stat bonus from dual wielding at least up? Okay, wait, hold on. Any plans to address how Rangers benefit way more from going two hands to impact their abilities versus getting a small stat bonus from dual wielding at least up to level 20 range? Are you talking about the fact that, like with Engage specifically, like how Engage benefits primarily from like a two-hander having a higher damage burst? Yeah. All melee attacks. What I was going to say to that is part of the ongoing development for the Ranger is to give them more ability, a few more melee and ranged abilities to introduce that side of letting them stay at ranged or in melee if they choose. There's a lot of people that their ideal Ranger fantasy is to just be an archer type essentially. And it's always been the intention for Rangers to be able to either skirmish by moving in and out, but also to be viable either at range or in melee as well. So the idea there would be if you are wanting to be predominantly a melee oriented ranger, then that bonus from engaging won't necessarily be a part of your itemization calculus. Okay, we'll take a look at it. All right. Now, yeah, so it's a little thing called perception. Pantheon is a lore-rich game. It's meant to be. Some people don't care about that. That's fine. But for those of you that, played classic MMOs, played, EverQuest, for example, games like that, tons of rich lore. Tons. So much so that, I've really enjoyed watching YouTube videos of people that comb through EverQuest lore and like put together these amazing videos about, all these things that I just had no idea. And I'm not going to go into the story of like what inspired the perception system for Pantheon and all that. It's out there, but the part of it is like, any time that you spent camping in Sol B and EverQuest and Solusec B, where all the kobolds are, the thought has always been, how cool would it be? Or Unrest, or Befallen, or Najina, or anything like that. Like, how cool would it have been to be able to interact with objects in the environment to learn more about the game, learn more about, like, what are the kobolds up to? Why are they there? Where do they come from? And being able to for the environment to feel more interactable like that is a big part of it. So I want to kind of go over a few things today with you guys, give you a chance to see some of these things in action. If any of you are in Pantheon right now, if you're playing right now and you are in Avelia or near Avelia, try going over to the warrior starting area where the training dummies are, and see if you can click on one of them. Not one of them, specifically this one. And that will give you a taste of what I mean by like interacting with objects in your environment. I would do it myself and show it, and I may do it here in a little bit, but for now, I don't want to exit out of what I'm in. But if you're in game, go and check it out. Click on it, and it's a very small example of what we want to much more fully saturate the game with. That there would be, all of these different things that you can interact with to get more of a sense of what's going on. And in some cases, like we talked about in the stream a couple of days ago, doing that has the ability to flag your character such that down the road or across the city or across the world, there's other things that will happen now because you interacted with that dummy in this case. Just as an example. Yeah, there you go. Stone Listic did it. Clicked on it, and you get a little ping that says, weathered and split in many places. These will need replacing soon. That's an example of just a flavor ping, or we just call those flavor pings. They're not related to a storyline. They're not, starting anything. They're just, it's like a dungeon master in a D&D campaign, just giving you when you walk in somewhere and say, I want to look around me. Sorry, I can't speak right now. I want to look around me. I want to observe the room. I want to inspect this a little closer. And the DM says, what he says, it's weathered and split in many places. They're going to need to be replaced soon. So it gives you that bit of flavor. What we did a few streams ago is we started setting up our first kind of example here on stream of a storyline connected to the perception system. And where we got to with this is there's an NPC that we made here called the Mysterious Traveler. And if I run by the Mysterious Traveler on any of my characters, he'll say something generic. But if I'm a monk, then he will address me in a different way because I'm a monk. And if I talk to him as a monk, I'll be able to begin a conversation with him that incorporates a branching dialogue system that allows me to respond in multiple different ways and lead to different outcomes. So we're going to pick that back up where we left off. And let's see. Okay. Let's go ahead and give this guy a quick faction here as well. Faction is already very robust in Pantheon. It's just not turned on in certain ways. I'll show you what I mean by that. So the only reason that ogres and Darkmer are not being attacked and slaughtered, and Dire Lords aren't being attacked and slaughtered when they go into Avelia or go near one of the Thronefast guards is because right now we've intentionally turned that off. So for example, if I was like, okay, it's time to make, evil races hated and attacked in Avelia by the Watch Guards, I'd come in here and I'd say, okay, for an ogre, ogres are hated. Boom. If we pushed this, ogres are going to be having a bad time. Now, we also have a robust faction tie system here. You can see all the different faction ties that the Watch Guards have. This is largely because they need to be able to protect you, so they hate just about everything. This is kind of seeing under the hood a little bit, but they're set up to hate just about everything in the vicinity of Avelia, because if you run away and you need help, then they need to see, a large cat or a snake or a beetle, and they need to hate it enough to attack it and kill it so that you don't die. If you look at something like the normal Avelia townsfolk, like the non-guards, they have a much smaller faction set, more in line with what you would expect. So in this case, they hate the Gadai bandits. They're not super fond of the cult of Ultheros. They hate the general bandits in the area. And this is why, this system right here is why if you kill one of those bandits, you're going to get a faction message that says your faction standing with Avelia townsfolk got better because they hate this particular faction. So that's kind of how faction works. If something has a faction tie where they hate something or they're an enemy of something, doesn't have to be, there's enemy and then there's hated. Hated is the worst. Then you're going to gain faction with that thing if you kill things that they're enemies with or that they hate. And in the same way, if they are allied with something, you will lose faction with that thing if you kill things they're allied to. A lot of that is working. I mean, all that's working, but the content, that's kind of where we're at with this, is that it's building up content around it. So what are the conversations with NPCs that you can't have unless you're at a certain faction standing? What are the vendors you can't buy from or have a limited selection based on your faction standing? Things like that. So all that being said, quick peek there into the faction side of things. Let's take a look at the graph. So the graph is where all of our storylining and dialogue building and all that stuff takes place, and where we are starting to build out this little quest. Let's see. So what do we want the next step to be, right? So just to kind of get back into our let me actually hop in game here real quick. We can go through this together. Server. Is the dark trade in the cave starting location supposed to be kill on site to my ogre after a day of playing? It is. If you ended up, there are some cases where yes, you can kill something that might be pretty harmful to your faction. There are some cases where we've overlooked some of that. Big beef stud pile. I bought this, but I don't love it. It's 5 out of 10. Okay. FD is super triggering. It triggers me too. Mage Light is useless on purpose. It's useless because we intentionally made it useless so that we could get our general lighting kind of in all of our different lighting oriented elements more dialed in. Yes, Sam Dark, I'm so glad you asked. Actually, I've been discussing that with Steve today, and it's something I think he's begun working on. We do have a temporary fix in mind, at least kind of a first pass in mind. So the goal is to get the light source out of your hand. I think what we're going to end up doing as the easiest way to kind of get that ball rolling is we're going to utilize one of the gathering inventory slots that's not currently being used as the light source slot. And for now, I'm going to disable the renderer on the torches themselves, both the actual torch and then the flame particle. Everything except for the light. That way, you'll be able to put the torch into that slot, but it won't visibly show up in your hands, and you'll get the light from it. And you'll only be able to put one light source into that slot at a time. So it's an easy way to get it to kind of fix the issue while we wait for the opportunity to kind of build it out more fully like we want to. But yeah, I don't know yet if Steve feels like that's something we'll be able to have in by Wednesday. I don't know yet, but that'd be super cool if we could. Yeah, or a fire beetle eye or something like that. It'll be like light stones, fire beetle eyes, things like that. Anything that we would count as a light source would go in that slot. Yeah, but that's going to be really good. Really good. All right. Can an ogre set a dead halfling on fire and use them as a torch? Um, I mean, yeah, I like that idea. Just cram it into your light source slot. You know what I mean? They might not fit in the slot. Well, I don't know. I mean, that might be. I mean, ogres might be able to force that. You know what I mean? It's really cramming it down in there. Can you elaborate on the direction you want to go with the light source system? Yes, I can. So a few things that we need to get, like to really fully build it out. We need to, let's see, which one was I on? This guy, I think. Yeah. Maybe. Here, I'll just, in case anyone wasn't watching last stream, I'll go ahead and jump in on. That's fine. Oh yeah, I was showing off the new weapons on this guy. Programming wise, we need to get it set up where only the strongest light source that you have will show. So whether we do it, whether we have a dedicated light source slot or not, or if it's just something where like you have, you know, like a torch in your inventory or whatever, and as long as it's in your inventory, it'll shine its light. Only the strongest thing should give off light, because you might have a torch in your inventory, you might have a ring of illumination that acts as a light source, and you might have, you know, a burning weapon, and all three things are light sources emitting from your character. So there's got to be something that says, I'm only going to render the strongest light source that you have on you. So that's one of the things that we need to get in place to really make it like we want it to be. The other thing that we want long term is for you to grow into better light sources, both in the quality of the light that they cast, but also in their permanence, I guess you could say. So when this is more kind of closer to finish, the system, torches, lanterns, even like light stones and some of those type things will burn out. They will drain, they will burn out, and then they won't give light anymore. And so there'll be, at lower levels or whatever, there'll be some upkeep of light sources. But as you get higher level, through questing, through drops, whatever it may be, there will be certain light sources that part of what makes them valuable is they don't burn out. They're more, you know, permanent. So that is the kind of the plan there with, you know, somehow light and light sources will have other properties as well. There'll be light sources that make it easier to see things that are invisible, that make it harder, they're easier to detect, that actually give you like concealment bonuses or awareness bonuses. Not concealment, awareness bonuses, so you can like see, you know, things that are stealthed, see things that are invis a little bit better. Those will be really, really nice, you know, light source elements. But the other thing about light sources and why it's important to us is because with our NPCs, I'm gonna go ahead and run over here and take a look at the thing I was talking about. But part of the game design in Pantheon is NPCs that have traits and dispositions. They have like special behaviors, special traits, and one of those is Dark Foe. It's called Dark Foe, and Dark Foe is when NPCs are stronger in darkness and will actively work to put out light sources. So they'll snuff out your torch. They'll render it ineffective. They'll snuff out your light source unless you have a light source that is resistant to that. A mod shade that will come down. So rogues should have a concealment penalty when they're in light. This is not currently working yet, but that's something to expect. They will have a concealment penalty to some degree when they're in light, but that can be offset by your concealment score. So that's another reason for rogues to really value concealment rating, not only because it makes their base stealth that much stronger and harder to see through, but it allows you to kind of offset penalties from light sources, or will, once we get that in. So here's the training dummy I was talking about. So you'll see when you mouse over it, your cursor turns to a hand. I'd like for this to not be a hand eventually. I'd rather it be like an eye. But then if you click there, once I'm close enough, if you click on it, then you'll get, this little ping message that pops up. And that's kind of how the interactable stuff will work in the world. I think this one does it too. Yeah. And there's a little cooldown, so you can't just like keep spamming on it. Unity Primus, is there a reason why mobs in Hangor seem to hang around within 3 feet of all cedar trees instead of roaming like other zones? No, there's not a reason. There's different approaches we take with different areas in terms of roaming. We have I showed it off on the last stream. I think it was the last stream. We did some, or maybe the one before, where I kind of walked through the system where we place NPCs and set up either a wander region. They can either be static, stationary, they can wander within a region, a radius, or they can path on a routine. And I don't know. I'll need to kind of do a pass on it and see. It's been a minute since I've looked at the placement. No, this is not a new race. This is a human, just wearing a cool set of plate mail. And using some new ogre weapons that are coming in on Wednesday as well. All right, so I'm a warrior, right? With this NPC we're working on, if I walk up to this NPC, I have no wisdom or coin to offer you, stranger. And the way that the NPC set up, that's all that they're going to say. That's the message that they say. If you're anything but a monk, doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what class you are. The only thing this guy's set up to respond to differently is if you are a monk of any race. And the idea there is to just show like how, even just from an inception point, we've got race, we've got class, and then any flag. And I'll try to show an example of this here in a bit, but like we can set this NPC up to respond to a race, a specific class, or a specific flag that you could have gotten from anything that we want, anything that would set a flag on you, or a combination of the two. We could make it so like narrow as to say you're only going to respond to a human monk that also has this flag. So we can make it as narrow and broad as we want, and that's just part of the designing all this. Like we plan to do the whole spectrum. We want things that are really narrow and unique and very, very hard to like uncover. And then we want, lots of things that are super broad and, you know, kind of apply to most people generally, and then everywhere in between. Flags can be visited locations. Flags can be kill events, be dialogue interactions with NPCs. It can be looting a certain item, having an item on your person. It could be having a buff or a debuff active. I mean, pretty much anything you can think of. Those can serve as flags or conditions that NPCs can respond to uniquely. So yeah, this warrior is not going to get very far here. So I'm going to switch back over to the monk. Can a literal flag be a flag? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't mind running around seeing like 1,000 like flags sticking out of players, you know? It's kind of flapping. FTV, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub, my friend. Appreciate it. 6 months of support. Thank you so much. Very cool. The story of you can have 3 monks sitting on a bench, all wondering if the others know about the secret quest they are on, because months ago they hailed a mob in passing and started a new quest line. That's right. That's exactly right. And we talked about on that stream also that, you know, part of the reason for that is to protect this system from spoilers. Because we have such a depth of what, you know, we can... When a certain thing happens, it will be as difficult for you to know why it happened exactly that way as we want it to be. In some cases, and I would say probably in the majority of cases, we want there to be enough breadcrumbs where you can kind of piece together, oh man, that conversation I had way back then with that person, which happened because this, you know, I killed this thing and I remember looting that. Now this person's referencing those things, so I can see, you know, and we'll have the Tome of Keeping is the UI element that will keep track of a lot of these things. And help you kind of visualize and piece together some of this stuff. Will help you if you know, have to put the game down for a period of time. You know, it's been a week or two and you come back and pick it up and you just can't for the life of you remember like the different things that were going on. It's meant to help you kind of get your bearings straight, keep track. Oh yeah. No, I know. Local Enthusiast says you're going to drive people insane for that. They're already trying to min-max classes and races without racials in the game. People will do anything for a 0.5% increase or any advantage, and it's sad. Yeah, but this might be the system that forces them, at least in one particular way, to just have to deal. Because if we're going to have a branching dialogue system and an RPG, a true RPG-based system, there's going to have to be permanent paths that you take, and you don't necessarily know the outcome. And you're going to have to live with that outcome. And that's just how it's going to be. Verd, that sounds like a bug. That sounds like an oversight. I'll make a note. Wilds in. Okay. All right. So now we're on a monk. Ah, monk, just who I was looking for. Please, can we speak? Oh. Hold on. Remember when I added that faction to it? One second. Please, can we speak? I had no idea that the universe would end when we did. My goodness. Lavathos, it'll be a combination. It'll be a combination. Some ports for Druid and Wizard will be available on vendors. Like in your starting area, that kind of vendor. Some of them will be available on vendors at the location of the gateway or the Wandering Stone that you're wanting to get. So you'd have to actually travel to that gateway, travel to that Wandering Stone, and there will be a vendor there that would sell them. And then some of them will be drop only or quest only. So it'll be a combination of all those, and they will be spread out. Right now, they're just, they're both at the same level just to facilitate kind of the state of development we're in. But they will eventually be spread out by level as well, so you won't get them all at the same time. I know Feign Death's broken. Can you talk about the intended fail rate and fail modes? The main reason Feign Death is broken right now is because you get it. The way we set it up initially, you were getting it at much higher levels, and even then, because it's all skill based, we've set it up very, very similar to the way it works in EQ, where it's very much skill based, and your chance of a successful Feign Death directly related to your skill. But even when it was at a higher level that you got it, the amount of skill, the amount of reliability that it had at max was still too low. We reduced the level that you receive it, so now you have even less skill that you're able to accumulate up to the level that you get it at, and so it just fails all the time. It's extremely unreliable, much more so than it's meant to be. So yeah, that's kind of the reason why it's in a really rough state right now. But there's also other issues with it beyond that. Like there's some bugs, it seems like, in the different aggro types, like sight, sound, and smell. And if an NPC is too close to you when you feign death, it seems like the smell mechanic is getting in the way of how that's supposed to work. There's some issues with like the reset mechanic and when they forget about you versus when they don't, and there's just a lot of kinks in the code that we need to work out. It's a very similar situation that we have right now with Charm, and why Charm, we're not rolling Charm out yet. It's a lot of those little edge cases. In Feign Death's case, it just makes it super unreliable and unhelpful. But in Charm's case, it makes it way overpowered. But it's kind of the same work we need to do with both. Mulgar, thank you so much for the tier 1 gifted. Congrats, local. All right, so we got a bug here with the... Hold on. I don't think I've ever seen a... consideration bug like that. Oh, I know why. So Steve, if you're watching still, if an NPC doesn't have a level assigned and you try to consider them, no bueno. I did. Hey guys, I need to hit the restroom real quick. I will be right back. I'm just reading a few of these messages. All right, I'll be right back. Hopefully, Chair did a good enough job holding down the fort. Thank you, Chair. All right. I just joined the stream and apologize if this has been addressed, but I have spent 6 days, 4 to 6 hours each day looting supply crates in the Goblin Caves. Is there anything in the works to help people get started on the torn map fragment quest chain? There needs to be, based on the feedback that I've been hearing about, you know, how it's kind of incentivizing some of this chest farming, chest rushing behavior. We need to make some changes. So I don't know what those are going to be yet, but yeah. Hit the restroom. What did the restroom ever do to you? I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it. Has he said anything about when classes will be getting more level 20 to 30 spells? I have not. It's going to be different depending on the class. I'm gonna say this at the risk of it feeling redundant to those who are come and are hanging out on these streams more often than others, because I know not everybody has heard this. So just as a general kind of point of context, we're a small team. Our development team is small, much smaller than you probably realize. As of right now, we have right around 10 developers who are working on the game. Our team is larger than that, but they're in different, they're in different roles. We have about 10 developers actually working on the game. That includes programmers, artists, designers. So when it comes to like what we're working on, if we were a studio like a lot of larger studios where we had a head count of 100 200 developers, an entire like teams of programmers, designers, things like that. We would be working on so many different things concurrently, and believe me, that is what I wish we could do, what I would love for us to be able to do. But we don't, and so we have to be very specific with what we work on and in what order we work on those things. When it comes to classes, a lot of the classes are in a state right now where the additions that we want to make to them are like new functionality type things, new ability types. And for that, we need programming time. We need a programmer to come in and hear me, go off about like all these crazy things that this ability is supposed to do. And then a programmer has to implement that. And with just about all the classes, that's kind of where we're at right now, is waiting on time from, one of the two primary gameplay programmers that we have, with the myriad of all the other things, including bug fixes and, contributing on server side and backend stuff and all the other things, for them to have time, or for it to kind of get its time on the priority list. So, that is why, I would love nothing more than to be able to kind of have multiple people working on developing the classes further at all times, but it's going to be more of a sequence thing. So, I would just say, please try not to get frustrated if it takes some time. If my response to these questions about a particular class, or when is this class this or that, if it is, I don't have a ETA on that yet, that's still TBD. It's just waiting its turn for, us to be able to focus that. That being said, with the way we've built out our ability system, it's very robust and it's very powerful in terms of what we are also able to create from what's currently there. So we are still working on fleshing out the classes a bit more based on what we as designers are capable of doing, since we're not programmers. And so there will still be updates to classes happening, especially in the form of like upgrades to abilities and whatnot. And that's just going to take some time. So yeah. Like, for example, one of the things that we're hoping to have ready by next Wednesday with the next patch is, for the monk specifically, is an updated blazing hand punch to make it more viable and actually more interesting. But we're also working right now on kind of we're reworking the gate system, which will be a big part of like updating the monk and making it better. Morvis, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. Yeah, Local, that's been mentioned a few times before, that specific approach. So that's something we'll definitely be looking at if we do anything like that. Okay, so we're back in on our monk. He's recognizing us as a monk. I should be able to consider him now without breaking everything, because he actually has a level assigned. So we're good. We got the hail message. Your uncle Rusty with the 10 gifted subs. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate that big time. Rats. Ads blasted. Now, when we talk to this person, this is what we showed off last time. This is the dialogue window, right? The mysterious traveler seems relieved. His eyes move back and forth quickly as he begins to speak. This italicized bracketed text is meant to be emotive. So you're observing this. It's giving you information based on what you observe. Thank you for speaking with me. As you passed by, I couldn't help but notice the symbol on your headband. I am a former monk myself, and I've heard much about the Way of the Five Gates. Are you a disciple of Grandmaster Coleman? So we have three options here. I can either ask my Twitch chat, respond with a yes, or no. Yeah, there's Twitch integration, guys. Isn't that awesome? We're on the bleeding edge. Twitch integration. I'm just kidding. Kidding. So here, what I'm going to do is, let's pull back up the graph. I'll give you guys just kind of a quick peek here in how this is working. So on Hail, we've got the dialogue window. We've got the dialogue, typed in here. This is where I can add my responses. I'll go ahead and take that third one out. And then if I respond yes, I can branch off into this track. If I respond no, branch off into this track. And then with these, I can add my new dialogue and go from there. So let's fill this out a little bit. I did a little bit of work on this the other day. Yesterday. That's what I mean by the other day. Did some work on this yesterday to kind of get some baseline dialogue flowing so we could fill this out a little bit more. So I'm going to change some of these responses. I get my windows all. Okay. This might be hard to read, but you'll see it more kind of full scale here in a second. I'm going to be pretty brutal here. Let me spell this correctly. Okay. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of a flow going here. We've got, two branching paths. Let me do a quick reset and we'll go. The Kellenen, thank you so much for the Prime sub and the 5 months of support. Thank you, my friend. Beanies are proven to result in causing baldness. When everything's said and done, do we intend to do holiday events in the game? I kind of like the idea of Terminus having its own holidays. So maybe, but not really necessarily reflective of like what's happening in the real world. Yeah, lore based. We're intending to use ships, certain ships as housing, and then also travel. And once we get to that point, ships will be, you know, different based on like their speed, how large they are, things like that. What's my favorite Metroid game? Man, it's got to be, I mean, absolute favorite has got to be Super Metroid on the Super NES, but Metroid Dread came close. All right. So, he asks if we are a disciple of Grandmaster Koman. If we respond that we are, then you might be of use to me. I seek knowledge from the scrolls of Kuman. And then we can either respond with, you know, no, essentially the scrolls are forbidden, or I'm listening to continue this path along. If we say you must be mistaken, I'm merely a traveler, then we get, forgive me then, but perhaps you could assist me still. So we have this kind of dual path that's brewing with this guy, where it's like, I'm either going to track with him on his primary ask, or I'm not, but not tracking on his primary ask is, you know, going to potentially lead to another outcome or another path. We can always just completely walk away from him and leave it alone, or we end up with two totally different outcomes here. And then what's likely going to happen, and I could show this in action, but essentially every single time there's a click, even just a click, I can add a flag if I want to. Like if I want to say your decision at this point is final, no going back, then I can set this graph up to be, if you click yes, this flag will make sure that if you just close this window completely and interact with them again, you'll only ever come back to this point right here. It's done. Decision's locked in. And same with no. And part of like building this system out, part of integrating it into the gameplay and getting feedback from you guys will help us kind of determine, you know, how hard we want to lean into that level of like, because that's the kind of stuff that if you can walk it back, then you can very easily feel your way through some kind of desired outcome. Whereas if we lock it, then it's like, that's it. Any time frame on when direct sales will be coming back to the website? I want the game, but I choose to not use Steam. I don't have an ETA on that. I know that's the plan, but I don't have an ETA. What do you think does that, Glomess? Is this going to affect anything in-game gear-wise, or is it just a side thing? Think of this more as an alternative sphere of the game that's like crafting. It is meant to be a third sphere of the game. So when I create a character, just like I can go talk to a crafting profession trainer and become a crafter and select a trade skill, in the same way, there will be a path to anybody to become what's called a keeper. And a keeper is someone that can engage with the perception system like this. And as a keeper, you'll be able to progress through the perception system, and it will have, you know, its own kind of progression, its own content. And then for those keepers, there will be specific unlocks for them that will be kind of like alternative forms of similar things that you can get in the game for the most part. So, you know, if there's a robe that you can unlock as a keeper, or, you know, something like that, it's would be unique to being a keeper, but it's also not going to be the only robe in the game that is like this and therefore necessary for, you know, in-game progression or something like that. But on the other hand, in the same way that you're going to have to rely on crafters for certain things, certain types of gear and whatnot, keepers will be necessary for certain forms of like progression in the game. So you'll need a keeper, for example, to decipher certain things and unlock, you know, access to certain areas, or be able to negotiate with certain NPCs to get an item that your group or your guild needs to do something in the game. So yes, they will be necessary, but the idea is that it's in a similar way with the crafting profession, where you're relying on players who are keepers to, you know, provide certain things, do certain things in the game. And then this question, yeah, that question comes up all the time, Mordain. Is there a reason why someone would specifically not want to be a keeper? I don't think so. You know, I kind of look at it the same way I look at crafting. Like there are people that don't craft. They don't want to put in the time. They don't want to, you know, invest the time to progress through the crafting system. Sonovidya, no, it will not take up a profession slot. This is a completely different system. Yeah. So you can have your two professions as a crafter and also be a keeper. Yeah. But remember, like, the perception system was originally intended to be like the game's quest system. We've since then decided to have, you know, what I think of as like jobs, essentially, like basic quests, more like jobs in the game, where an NPC's like, hey, I have a job for you to do, or I have a task that I need your help with. And some of those can be multi-step and larger scale, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like it's a task. It's a quest with like a, you know, something that you're executing for someone for the most part. And perception is like kind of more the deep dive into the game's lore. It's like more of the deep story, like people that don't want to just hit accept and go and do the thing, you know? People that don't want to have instant quest text that they can just hit accept as fast as possible and then just go execute the objective list. It's for people that like want to read everything, that want to understand, that want to like put pieces together and make sense of things. And so we've kind of developed this system for that purpose, but then also we're going to be building a progression system around it so that there's a feeling of progressing and getting better as a keeper, getting better at like discovering things and making insight, having like insightful connections and whatnot. Yeah, DMO, that was actually the start of the quest to become a keeper, was what you're describing there. Yes, we will absolutely have RP servers local. Yeah, absolutely. We will, I would say 99% certain we are not going to have voice acting with perception. It's way too much. Way too much dialogue, way too much text. Yeah. The extent of voice acting that I foresee in Pantheon would be just slight vocalizations that NPCs would make, kind of like in a Breath of the Wild type thing, where they're like, huh? Or or things like that, where it's like just something very small and representative, but absolutely not full voice acting or anything. Not even like in an AI consideration. Like it's not, AI is not good enough yet to, in my opinion anyway, to try and do large scale voice acting through AI and it not be like very noticeable. Dude, if we could have Morgan Freeman narrating the, I mean, it'd be awesome. But, you know. Okay, let's see. Let's try this. So we're gonna try to set a flag here. I can show you guys how this works, okay? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take the bad monk route. Are you disciple of Grandmaster Coman? Yes, I am. You might be of use to me. I seek knowledge from the old scrolls of Kuman. The scrolls are forbidden. I'll have him say something like, you know, do it anyway. We're going to do this quick. Do it anyway. And then I'm going to accept it. And when I accept it, I want to go back to Grandmaster Kuman. And I want there to be some kind of new dialogue that happens there based on this interaction because of that flag that's been set. So before we set up that flag, let's go talk to Grandmaster Kuman right now and just see what like a normal interaction would be like with him as it is right now. Which is, Kuman's already set up with, or not Kuman, Coman. What am I saying? Coman. There's already a little bit of stuff set up with him. So let's see. So we've got come and speak with me, young monk. So he recognizes I'm a monk as well. Welcome to my dojo, young monk. Grandmaster Coman smiles briefly. Yes, my dojo. Humble indeed. Perhaps a reflection of the beginning of your journey with us. You're not yet ready to join the ranks of these disciples, but we can take the first step on that path by speaking to Master Sion. Farewell. So, I've spoken with him. Now, this is an example. A flag's been set. I cannot initiate that dialogue anymore based on flags. So let's find Master Sion. Again, but with more power. Hello? Wait, is it? Yeah. That might be a bug. Now, what happens if I talk to you? Can I talk to you again? No. Hold on. Buzzing nuisance. If we did do voice acting, I think it'd be hilarious to do voice acting. Like, imagine if you after talking to Grandmaster Coman, you go to Master Sion and it's like, welcome, initiate. Likely you've come to our temple to train, but alas, I'm afraid our class disciple is full at the moment. You know what I mean? Something like that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine this much text? Those late yellow jacket horns have been more aggressive in attacking villagers while they're a little threatened you or I can dab there. Like, what? Sounds beautiful. Okay, so this bugged. Tell me things Okay. He'll be a monk right there. No. I like to pull that one out every once in a while because I grew up in the South, but I don't sound like I grew up in the South, and so I can wield that to great effect because it's much more natural than people realize. Does the exhausted debuff mean you cannot harvest, or is this a bug? It's not how most people sound in the South. It is how some people sound in the South. I would not say most people. Nice, Louisiana, cool. Yeah, just the monks. Just the most dedicated monks sound that way. Now, I want to show you guys something. So here's... I need to... I don't want to spoil this, though. So I'm going to hide the screen. Hold on. And I'm going to show you an example of... You've seen me now, right? Like trying to talk to Grandmaster Coleman. He said the first thing to me. It seems like it's bugged because he tells you to go talk to Master Sion, and it's not really doing anything. But I'm going to show you an example since I already have this set up with Coleman, where I think it was asked earlier, or at least I've said that, you know, flags can be set on your character just by visiting certain locations. There is a location that if you visit it, I'm just gonna try to move to it here. I moved the screen because I don't want to give away where it is. All right, let's see. All right. Let's see. Hello? One sec, guys. Oh, let's see. Hey Steve, are you still on listening? Is there still a command for setting player variables? It's been so long since I set this up that I don't remember exactly where to go. Thought I did. So I wanted to try just like setting the variable manually. I could check, but I don't want to like exit out of everything I've got open. I could go back into Odin and check, but I'd like to avoid that if I can. I know we used to have one. They used it a lot. We need to have one to test with. Fandanguido team with the Prime sub. I'm so sorry I missed that. Thank you so much, Fan. Appreciate that. Nerd fighting in Discord. Why is there nerd fighting in Discord? Oh, RP rules. Like what they should be. I gotcha. Any changes coming to the looting system? We are developing the need greed stuff. Okay. Yeah, I think that may have changed. Probably need Kyle to answer that. Thanks for looking, Steve. I appreciate it. We're developing. I'm gonna just go ahead and exit out of this and pull up Odin so I can just look and find it. See. Do not have ETA on the need greed and don't have ETA on the item linking either, but both of those things are very much at the forefront of need. Will enchanters get animation pets? Probably not. Yes, sell one. There actually already is, literally specifically for that reason. Because if you're asking that question, that means you were a fan of like the silver plated bracer or the what was it called? Like the serpentine bracer or something like that. Rubikit, golden Afridi boots, those things. Yeah, I created the first item the other day that is exactly that. A plate graphic that all classes can wear. It's a wrist slot. Yes, there will be pointy wizard hats too. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Quite true. Any plans to look at spell costs? Yeah. Yeah, we need to make... There's some changes we definitely need to make when it comes to the price of things, how much coins dropping, just kind of the overall price of things is very inflated right now. So yeah. Okay, let's see. Sorry I'm doing some of this off screen. I'm just trying to protect you guys from spoilers. This is good. Like this is a very deep well here that I'm digging through, which is a good thing for you guys when it comes to the player experience. There's a lot to this. Okay. Oh, I remember now. Oh my goodness. Okay. I remember. Now, I'm going to spoil a little bit of this, and I'm okay with that because I've already spoiled it already. I've already shown this on stream, but it's important. Okay? Wow. I can't believe all coming back to me. That's a song. Will there be campfires, and can I cook on my Fury Archimental? Yes, but only on its face. Plans on increasing the pace of mob-to-mob combat. And instead of building around spongy mobs that hit hard, going the route of more player agency and skill expression with the group interaction skill system you created. You would need to give me, like, I don't know, like an example of what you mean, like something more concrete. I'm not sure I understand. Yes, plans are still to make the world seamless eventually. Except for, like, dedicated dungeons. So, like, Calendar's Cave will always be something that you zone into. So here's what I wanted to show you guys. Let me hold on. Let me not hold on. Hold. Hold on. So the world will be seamless. You'll travel between areas seamlessly, but under the hood, there will still be a designation of zone. So, you know, imagine like running from Throne Fast AVP right now. You won't hit a hard loading screen, but you'll see like a little cinematic text on your screen that says like Avenger's Pass or whatever. And when you cross that line, you'll see like you've entered Avenger's Pass, and then that'll kind of switch you over to that zone's comms and stuff. Will there be instancing for when a zone reaches a population limit? Not instancing, no. And the current setup that we have right now with the servers, where they kind of bloom into like a new version of itself, that is temporary as well, because right now there's just a 500 player cap on each server, just to make sure that with the size of the world that there is now, that there's enough content for everybody. But ultimately the player cap will be much higher, and we won't really treat zones as being full at that point. So max cap, I mean, if I had to guess a number right now, it would be somewhere between like 2,500 and 3,500, somewhere around that. But that's not a number that's like performance bottlenecked. That's more just like wanting to land on a number that best preserves like the gameplay experience, so it's not just so overwhelmed with players. Hey, Joppa, back to the game in 2019 with the Pathfinder pledge. Have been hooked and playing for a full week now. Nice. Does my pledge get a Steam key to transfer instead of using the client? And very last, is there a roadmap or place I can see future plans? Thank you. That's awesome, Sage One. The plan is eventually to get the pledge client and kind of the pledge account linked with the Steam account. I don't know the details behind that, or kind of the process of that, so I don't really have any more information beyond that, nor an ETA. And then the roadmap is something that we are working on, and we're in the midst of a lot of planning right now. And but getting a roadmap out is something that we want to do as soon as possible. So it's coming. Now, I'm going to show you a specific interaction here that is an example of the pings, or the key system, the flag system. Sorry, the flagging that we've been talking about. This is what I've already showed off before. I'm going to do it quickly. There's an NPC in town, Shia Fellweather. If you try to talk to her, oh, he must have already given me that response. Okay. Did you see what she said when I came up? The only way she will say this is if, and again, this is just an example, right? Yeah. I know this is already in game, but I don't know that everybody's aware of this. So I'm just giving it as an example. There's a very small chance when you approach Grandmaster Coman that he will say something about a dark presence in the east. Let's see if I can get him to say it again. It's rare that he says it. And this is an example of like one of the more obscure things that, you know, we want, and this is all going to change. Like, this is, now that I've already shown this, this is going to change, because it's meant to be a very rare occurrence, like something that's very difficult to kind of piece together. But typically, if you go up to Shia Fellweather in the town, she's not going to say anything to you. She's going to basically say, "Hey, move along. If the whispers haven't spoken to you, neither will I," kind of thing. But if you talk to Sorry about that. But if you happen to get this really rare kind of dialogue choice, we'll see if it happens. Yo. Come on, friend. Now, I know there's going to be probably some players that their bent is to like, you know, I'm gonna hop on a new character and do this. You do this right. Their bent is going to be, you know, to try to, you know, test and see like how many different things might happen, things someone might say. We'll go with you. And that's okay. Yes, there'll be a buyback option eventually, yeah. Sorry guys, I like having some anti-aliasing, at least something. Let's do this. Druid spells. Sprint. Oh, I can. Oh, I can. I can tease you like this. Oh, it's coming soon, though. All right. So, you're welcome to join me in this peaceful moment, traveler. You are most welcome. Oh yeah, let's go. Wait. Let me show this part first. Where am I? Say Wolfo. Hello? If the whispers have not spoken to you, neither will I. And that's all she says. You will do well to move along, Dark Myr. Nothing. So, what I'm showing off here is as this system grows, as it becomes more implemented, more fully kind of saturated, there will be situations like this where there are, in this case, very, very narrow potential to put pieces together. Look, there's a dark presence to the east, warrior. Have you felt it too? This is a very rare message. That message, just that one interaction of getting in range of this guy and hearing him say that, that now permanently flags me to where if I happen to be in the village, hello. Greetings. Master Coman spoke of the darkness to you. Come, let us speak further. Boom. So there it is. And now, you know, we have this kind of, we're ready to begin this perception storyline. And that's kind of the level of interaction, flagging. I did this, and now this now unlocks for me. And that's, as we begin this perception system journey and integration, this is the kind of content that is going to start to flow into the game. And sorry, it was kind of a long roundabout way to get and find good ways to show you guys this, but it's important that as more of you are watching this game, as more of you are getting involved in this game, there's probably many of you, like I would, playing it and saying, where's the stuff? You know, where's the interaction? Where's the journey, the context, the lore? I value study above chatter, so be on your way unless you have a good book in hand. You guys didn't know I had a absolutely excellent female voice, and I decided to go ahead and show it off there. But you guys also understand that this is the kind of stuff that I'm very, very limited in what I can show. Because we don't want to. This is the kind of stuff that you guard, you protect, you don't want to spoil. So, is this lore and these perception quests already written and ready to go? We have oodles and oodles of them written and ready to go. Hey, what's up, good? Do I play D&D? I don't actively, but I used to. I don't currently. Is revealing what armor bards wear too much of a spoiler? No. They can wear up to light plate. They can wear up to light plate. Yes, light and plate. Both of those things separately. They can wear light and they can wear plate. I love DMing. And you guys can bet that I'm going to be behind some pretty awesome GM events in this game. Very much hold on to your butts kind of Jurassic Park type things. Yeah, what's the name of the person changing chat color in HTML? What's the name? First thing I saw after I said that was multiple butts. The name's multiple butts. Yes, there are PvP plans. The first PvP servers are coming up next month. Multiple people on Lucent Tree doing it. All right, I'm gonna hop in there and check it out. Which number? In which zone? Okay. Okay. Let's check it out. I know. I've got so much work to do on the stream, Jindashi. I know. It's time. Hey guys. Nice cadaver. So this is how it happens, right? Too. It's like some people start doing it, and then people are like, "Hey, how do you do it? How do you do that? I want to do that." Lucian. Cammy. Yeah, people can see me. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh. Somebody's name is Bald. That's a lot of people. Somebody messaged me. Hey, Joppa, I've been here since the Kickstarter, loving the game thus far. Any plans to put a Kickstarter race into the game down the road, aka Revenant Undead? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. Klinksk. Thank you for the tier 1 sub, my friend. Cool. Okay. Well, I mean, it is what it is. We've known about this. We just haven't done anything about it yet. So it does remind me, though, that one of the things I would love is to be able to like have people's names like clickable in OOC. Like you hover over their name and you can like click their name and it brings up like a whisper or a whisper or a mention. So if you click, like if I clicked Domino's name and then I clicked mention, it would populate, and I was like an OOC, it would populate it with @Domino, which on his end would like, kind of like in Twitch, it would like highlight his name just for him, not in everybody, but for him, it would show up in OOC with like a highlight and then the message so that I could like somebody in a busy OOC. Ignore's coming. Check game chat. Oh yeah, emojis and stuff. tall, slim man with a grumpy scowl on his face. I think the next stream that I do, I'm going to spend some time just playing the game. What class should I play, chat? Look at this. So cool. Druid. Dwarven cleric. Hold on a sec. I mean, guys, you got to understand, like, this is the kind of stuff that, like, it's fun. It's funny. But, you know, obviously we can't just let people do that. So, at your own risk. Online games. They are the best. Hire them as programmers. I mean, it's unfortunately it's not that impressive. It's just realizing Unity Unity. Hi, Unity. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a way to stop it. I have an idea of where some of this knowledge might have come from, and it is what it is. But yeah, there's definitely a way to fix it. Say hello, everyone. Oops. Oh, thanks, Aphid. Clinks for the 5 gifted. Thank you so much, Clinks. Can you climb walls? Yes, I can. I just don't have a climbing animation. Oh, that's awesome. That message from Snap Punch is really cool. No giveaways today, no drops. No. Hey, it's bald! It's bald. Very nice. You guys think that's Asmongold, maybe? Could be. They did. I felt it was like a little celebrity moment there. Monkey form for Druid to climb faster. Yeah. Yeah. So a climbing form, a gliding form, a travel, like a run travel form, and an aquatic form. Those are all definite things. A monkey climb form would be really cool. Really cool. Cloud form for like a like a gradually hovering form. Is Aphid showing me something? That was Chase the Wind. What is Aphid doing? Oh, right. Yep. Yeah, we're going to be moving to a server authoritative client controller soon. And we'll address a lot of that. Thanks, Aphid. Got it, got it. Hershey, yeah, it's very likely we will. I know there's a lot of people that have already gotten it working and into a pretty playable state on a Steam Deck. So, yeah, I think we're just going to be kind of improving it from there. Yeah. Yeah. I'll put on my bone of slaying. My femur bone of slaying. Follow me, everyone! Quickly! Hurry! Oh man, I wish I could turn off nameplates. Play hide and seek. That'd be fun. Watch out! Move once, Prime! Hiding. Close the door. They'll never find me in here. Oh. It's cheating. It's cheating. I know what? I can climb. I can climb to safety. They'll never find me up here. They don't really know it's me. Could be any of these trees. Oh. Aha! Yes, Oh! I know what I'll do. Ah! Ah! It's not like I'm streaming or anything. Yeah, I know, right? Some like massive streamers and doing this very serious, heartfelt review of the game. And some absolute nut job is running around as a tree, jumping, hiding in buildings. It's not me, Margaret. Leave it to the nut job. Nice. Getting stream sniped. Not to get a headshot. Let's see. Okay. All right, my friends. Well, I think that is going to need to be it for me today.